Good evening, and welcome to the Candidates Forum. This forum is being sponsored and presented by the Jackson County Development Association. Tonight's forum will feature candidates seeking the offices of State Representative, Circuit Court Clerk, Jackson County Court Clerk, and the magistrates. Candidates who are seeking offices that are unopposed will be given opportunity to make a brief statement, but will not participate in the question and answer portion of the forum. These offices are Coroner, County Attorney, Constable, District 1, the County Judge, and the PVA office. Tonight, we are providing an opportunity for candidates who will lead Jackson County over the next 4 years to present their vision as to why they have chosen to seek a particular office, and to educate you and I as we make our choice on Election Day 2018. Now, the rules for tonight's forum, beginning with the candidates who are unopposed, each will be given 2 minutes to make an opening statement. We've got a timekeeper, and time will begin when the candidate starts talking. The candidate will be reminded when they have 15 seconds left to speak with a yellow card, and they'll be asked to wrap it up at the end of the allotted time with a red card. After the opening statements, we will ask questions in no particular order of each office and limit the answer to 1 minute. Again, time starts when you begin speaking, and you'll be reminded at the 45-second point and at the 1 minute point. You, the audience, should you have a question, we have cards for you to write that question down on. The cards are over at this table, along with ink pens, and then you submit that question back to the box, and should we have time at the end, we will ask the questions that are in the box. And these are the questions from you, the audience. Be sure to address your question to a particular office and not a particular person. All candidates who registered to run for an office in the May primary were invited to be here. However, it is the candidate's choice whether or not to participate in this forum. The Development Association would like to thank the candidates and their families for the commitments that they have made to serve the citizens of Jackson County. We ask the audience to keep unnecessary noise to a minimum, and we thank you for being here. A huge thank you goes to PRTC for making this available for live television. With all this said, it's time for us to begin. The unopposed candidates that are going to make a statement, I believe, is Don Hayes, running for judge, and then Shane Gabbard, also running for re-election. Don Hayes.
Hello, my name is Don Hayes, local business owner, United States Army veteran. In 2016 and 2017, an extensive audit was carried out of the Jackson County Fiscal Court by the State Auditor's Office. It was released to the general public on May the 19th, 2017. I would like to share with you just one finding of 40. And I quote, "The Jackson County Judge Executive Office collected rent for the former county judge." End quote. For this unethical act, the judge executive and his staff was recommended to Cumberland Valley Regional Board of Ethics by the State Auditor's Office. Folks, this is just one of 40 the auditors covered. Everything from lack of leadership to ethics violations to the point of referrals to the FBI. I'm sure that my opponent will allude to the fact that he is just a man subject to make mistakes. They will try to placate you by saying that there's a new audit that will be much better. They will also say that corrective action plans have been implemented. To pretty much say that this will never happen again. My question is, why did it happen to begin with? But realize these statements are at best glossing over a much deeper problem running through the county. We all remember the lake, which we never got, and the waste of funds that were allocated to it, and in so many other broken promises. When we have elected officials who engage in corruption and cronyism, we all lose as a county. Every 4 years, we have politicians come out and promise change, but what change have they actually really brought to Jackson County? You have only to look at the audit to see where the problem lies. The blatant disregard for the rule of law and the lack of ethics uncovered by the auditors on this administration is truly mind-blowing. I offer you a simple solution. Vote for me, and I will fundamentally change the political spectrum in this county forever. I will not violate the integrity of the judge's office. I will hold myself accountable and everyone under me responsible for their own doings. I will not engage in unethical and immoral activities. This county deserves better from those officials who are entrusted for the people's business. Thank you for your time, and I hope for your consideration for November the 6th, 2018. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to say that we appreciate everybody coming out to expressing their concern and support of our candidates. I'd like to say it's been an honor the last 4 years to serve our county of our citizens. I don't look at this as being a political office. I look as if you are an elected official, you're a servant of that community. And that's what we've tried to do in the last 4 years, is serve our community to the best of our ability. We have been blessed since 2015 to see a little over 500 jobs start in Jackson County. That's 300 at Tillworks. There's 150 working at Century today in 2 different shifts. There is another 100 working for Phoenix Products, and these local companies we like to see thrive. So, you know, and another thing that we've been blessed to do is interact with our people in a great way. We know we had a lot of stuff to fix when we got here, and as Mr. Hayes stated, we had several things to work on, and we did uncover some problems, some major problems in 2016 of July, but we have put them on a path to recovery. This fiscal court started in 2015 with a deficit of $300,000. At our last financial statement and first quarter ending financial statement, that deficit was cut down to $3,000. So we've made a great turnaround, which we're very thankful that we have. And, you know, there's been a lot of great things happening in Jackson County. We've got parks that's on the way up. We're going to begin this year to put an RV campground in at Flat Lick Falls. And I look forward to, if I could honor your vote, to serving our communities for another 4 years. And out of all that, I'm most proud to say I've never laid aside my faith or my family. They've always been number one. They'll always be number one. My community is part of my family, and I appreciate your opportunity. Appreciate everybody that come to partake tonight. God bless you.
Okay, now we will proceed with introductory statements from the candidates who have opposition. And I think I'm going to start with Mr. Goforth, and we'll proceed to this direction and then pick up the county offices over here. Mr. Goforth. That mic, yes.
So I'm Robert Goforth, and I am your current state representative. Appreciate everybody that came out and voted for me and put me in office, and I appreciate everybody who will come back out on May 22nd and put me back into office. But a little bit about myself. I am the Christian conservative Republican that's on the ballot. I grew up very humble circumstances. My mother raised me and my 2 brothers on welfare and food stamps, and the good Lord blessed me with the ability to work hard and be able to go to school, get an education. Whenever I got out of high school, I went to the United States Army. I served as a combat engineer before going on to college at the University of Kentucky studying chemistry. Then I went on to Massachusetts College of Pharmacy, got a doctor of pharmacy degree, came back, worked 7 days a week until I could save up the money to open up my first store. worked and built that up, sold that store to Walgreens, and then I'd used that money and I opened up 3 other stores that it's growing and thriving today, put about 40 people to work. So I know how to create jobs. I know how to combat the drug epidemic. I've been doing that for several years. I teach substance abuse prevention education to our children, grades K through 12, all over the state of Kentucky, free of charge. I don't charge the school systems anything for doing that. Taught over 50,000 students to date. Drug abuse prevention education, medication safety. So you'll never have to wonder where I stand on things. I'm a pro-life, pro-family, pro-gun, Christian conservative that's ready to put God back into the public square. I believe in putting prayer back in school. Everybody keeps running from the problems, they keep running from the answers, and the answer is to put Jesus Christ back into school. Looks like my time's up. I've got 15 seconds, but remember me on May 22nd. I am working hard for you in Frankfort. You can see that, and I'll always work hard for you. Thank you.
My name is Keith Hayes. I think most of you know me. I'm the principal at Jackson County High School, just finishing up my 10th year as principal. I was boys basketball coach and dean of students for 15 years before that. When they started Jackson County Middle School 28 years ago, I was there the first 3 years there and teaching science. Before that, I was at McKee Elementary for 3 years. So I've been in public education for 31 years, and looking around this room, there's very few, if anybody in here, that I don't know. And that's one of the things that I want to try to bring to this office. When you get to Frankfort, if I'm lucky enough to be voted to make it to Frankfort, you can't get anything passed unless you get the majority of the other 99 people that's down there, so there's 100 reps, to vote for that. So one of the things that I would try to do, first of all, is to get to know them the same way that I know you. I've been deacon at my church for over 20 years. I was raised on a dairy farm in Greyhawk, and one of the things I want to come and bring this office is just I care about people. I want to try to do the right thing. Thank you.
Dale.
Hello, my name is Dale Bond. I'm running for Magistrate District 2. I've served on the fiscal court for the past 12 years, and I appreciate it giving the opportunity to serve. We've had a lot of trouble in the past, and we cut most of it straightened out, and I just appreciate all the hard work that the judge has done and the staff and straightening this out. Most of you know me. I drove truck for about 18 years prior to running for magistrate, and I think I run 2006. I think that's a year. Anyway, I'm running for my 4th term, and I'll continue to do my best and give you everything I got. We've built several bridges, several miles of blacktop. We'll still try to focus on that and try to get it done. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Oscar Wilson Jr. I've lived in Jackson County all my life. I'm married to Sherry Wilson for 35 years. I've got 2 youngins, Joshua Daniel Wilson, Ashley Nicole Wilson. Josh is married to Jessica Terry. I've got 3 grandkids, Bryce, Tucker, and Josie. I've worked for Elmo Greer & Son, Partners Construction, medicine business. I've run my own business for 30 years, and I think I've got a lot to bring to this community and to the people of Jackson County, and I will never forget. If I win or lose, I still won't forget where I've come from. Thank you very much.
Duck Moore.
It's work. I got it. Okay, my name is Donald Duckmore. I've been the county clerk this is my 16th year, and we have got the clerk's office, one of the top in the nation. There's no matter what you do, you cannot improve on the clerk's office. We're at the top of the field in every category. We've even got every book in the clerk's office is imaged. All you got to do is type in the person's name. It'll print it out. You don't have to pull a book. I got a grant for $39,000 some to do that. And there's 129 duties of a county clerk. believe it or not. I've got the book right here. So we've got plenty to do, and I've got the best staff that you could even think about putting together by far. And anybody that's ever been in the clerk's office knows that. Now, the taxing districts, every dime that we make in the clerk's office, every dime we take in, we keep 3%. The rest of it goes to 8 taxing districts plus the state. Treasurer gets a big hunk of it. And a lot of people get that mixed up. They think we set the tax rates. We don't have nothing to do with the tax rates. All we do is collect what the taxing districts set. We distribute it among the people and everything else. And salaries are paid. My girls are paid out of the clerk's funds. My salary is paid out of the clerk's funds. So what's left, at the end of the year, we give the fiscal court. I just gave them almost $47,000 this year because we're real saving. We do only what we have to do to spend money, and everything is going real good. And other clerks have actually come to Jackson County to check our system, how it works. All you got to do is type in a name, no more pulling books. It'll shoot your deed, mortgage, marriage license, everything else right out. You don't have to worry about it. 5 minutes and you're on your way home. So that's something that we're very proud of. I'm very active in the community. I'm also on the budget committee. What do you mean time expired? I'm just getting warmed up.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
My name is Paul Thomas Alexander. I was born and raised in this county. I went to school in this county. I graduated high school here in '69. In '69, I also married the love of my life, Sandra Arvin. She was from Richmond, Indiana. We've been married September coming, the 13th, 49 years. In '67, my dad got sick and had to go to the hospital in London. They thought he had TB. He stayed over there for months. I had to go to work. I had to go to work second shift. I was going to school. I got a job in Richmond at HK Porter's, going to school of a day and working second shift there. I did that through graduation. I worked there until '71. May the 17th, I went to work for Tom's Foods, Richmond Tom Sales in Richmond, running a snack food route. I was able to go from route salesman to supervisor to working out of the home office in Columbus, Georgia as his own manager. We did that for years. In 1980, me and Sandra bought Richmond Tom Sales out, that distributorship. We had 17 route trucks and 25 people on the payroll. We did that with dreams years later of coming back home to Jackson County, but we had to move out of here when I went to work for Tom's to be close to that. I don't know if you know anything about route work, but we started from 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. I needed to live there. But I'd had a dream coming back home. We sold out in 2013. A month later, we owned a house on Indian Creek. My goodness. 5 months later, we moved back to Jackson County and loved it. Another dream I've had for 25 years, numerous people have told me as I'm out there campaigning that I had a goal of running for county court clerk, now county clerk. I'm running, and I want to win this. And with God at my back and you all voting for me, I can be the new county clerk.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It shows you're concerned about your community, and I'm thankful you're here. I'm Doris Ward, and I'm asking for your support and vote as I seek re-election as Circuit Court Clerk. This is my 6th year as Circuit Court Clerk, and before that, for many years, I was a Deputy Clerk, and I was a Chief Deputy Clerk. The Circuit Clerk's office is it has a very important role in Kentucky's judicial system. We're the keeper of all official records for the circuit, district, and family courts. Policy for our office is set by the state legislature. Organizational and communication skills and attention to detail is a must in our office. We process all documents for filing in court cases. We calendar cases to be called before the courts. We collect fines, fees, costs, restitution, and we are the manager of the jury. We assist the judges in the courtroom with case files, making sure court proceedings are documented and entered correctly, and by electronically recording proceedings. And we are also the office that issues driver's license. We've made many changes since I became clerk. We now have electronic filings for several types of cases. We are, within the next year, stepping up to the Kentucky Court's 3 filing system, and we're preparing for the huge transition of the real ID or the voluntary travel ID. The people of Jackson County deserve a clerk who is experienced, one who is knowledgeable on policies and procedures, one who has already established a good working relationship with all employees and court officials. You deserve a clerk who's committed to working for you with the same efficient, impartial, and confidential service that you've come to expect from the office. A clerk who will take that extra step for you. Ladies and gentlemen, that clerk is your current Circuit Court Clerk, Doris Ward, and I'm asking for your vote on May the 22nd.
Hi, for the people that don't know me, I am Patricia Moore. Most of the people in the county call me Teresa, and that's what I prefer to be called. I do have experience in the circuit clerk's office. I have worked in Bobby Morse's office for 18 and a half years, and I even worked for Don Hayes before that for about a year and a half. For the past 12 years, I have worked out of the county, all over the state, training and filling in circuit clerk's offices. I have had to stay out of town, sometimes a week at a time, just to do that job. I was a field rep for AOC for 3 years, which traveled around to different parts of the state, and then I went on to be pretrial officer for a year, and then after that I went to the Attorney General's office to do the e-warrants training program, which has been implemented into the circuit clerk's office. And then for 4 years I was chief deputy in the circuit clerk's office in Estill County. I've enjoyed doing that job, and as Doris says, it is a job. There's a lot of duties of the circuit clerk, but I feel like with my 28 plus years training, filling in, being in the circuit clerk's office, I feel like that I do have the qualifications for that office. I have the compassion for people too that comes into the office. There's not a whole lot in this world that I've not lived through. I've lived through several bad circumstances, and I have compassion for people that comes in with problems and situations that need help and sometimes just need somebody to talk to. I feel like that I can run that office efficient. I feel like that I can run it with compassion. I feel like that I can do the job, and I do have the experience. And if you could, just consider me on May the 22nd for your next circuit clerk. I would really appreciate your vote and support. Thank you.
May I stand up? It's better. My name's Ryan Judd. I am a candidate for Circuit Court Clerk. I'm a retired state trooper. I worked here in Jackson County for 5 years. Prior to that, I worked in Harlan for 2, and then in London. I was the first non-Laurel County resident that was hired at the London Police Department. I left Jackson County in 2005. I transferred to Special Operations, Special Investigations in the State Police, traveled all over the eastern United States from Florida to the Bronx, New York with my job. I worked auto theft and major crimes. During that time, I prosecuted some big federal cases that were involving numerous individuals. Some cases had 200 victims, 80,000 documents. So to talk about case management, I know what case management is, or I would lose my case and I'd be in federal penitentiary for not doing my job. My family, we've been in Jackson County best we can tell from the 1800s. My dad, Eddie Judd, worked for Jackson Energy for 42 years. He's a pastor at Egypt Baptist Church. My mother, Hilda, she worked at Kentucky Mountain Housing before going to Citizens Bank. My wife, Sherry, she works at Tyner Elementary School. We are grounded here. We could find better jobs when it was time. I went to college, got a degree in police administration, and I came back here. I didn't have to. But if I wanted to be a servant in my county, because I take pride in this place. You can tell by the way I dress. When I came in here to draw numbers out of the hat where my ballot was, I came in here to be professional because that's what you expect. If you come into the clerk's office and I'm your clerk, you'll be treated with respect. If I can help you, I will help you.
Yes, there's demands, there's things that the clerk's office has to have. There's a manual that says what it has to do. I had to study that manual. I had to take the test to become qualified. When I passed that test, I became qualified to run for you, for your circuit clerk. I want to work for you. Please vote for me for circuit court clerk on May 22nd.
Let me, is this mic on, Mark? Let me remind the audience again that we do have some paper and pencils over here. If you want to submit a question, feel free to do that, and we will ask those questions at the end. Also, the time rules, I'm reminding the candidates now that the time rules are going to change from this point forward, and we have 1 minute to answer questions. So, and you'll be reminded at 15 seconds and then at the full minute. The next question that I'm going to ask will be to all candidates. I've got one question. I can repeat it if you need me to. But we'll start again with Mr. Goforth, and we'll go this direction and then pick up with Duckmore and go that direction. The question is, all of us have had what we call life experiences. Tell us of one or more life experience that you have had that best prepares you for the office that you are seeking. Mr. Goforth.
Well, I have several. Of course, I told you I served in the United States Army as a combat engineer, so that's instilled discipline, leadership, responsibility in me. I went on, got my doctor of pharmacy degree, came back and started businesses. So I've created many jobs, approximately 40 people still working and thriving in those positions today. So I know how to create jobs. And then one of the main things that faces Kentucky right now is the drug epidemic. I've been fighting that drug epidemic. I know how to fight that drug epidemic. I've taught over 50,000 students substance abuse prevention education and medication safety. So a combination of those things makes me the most qualified candidate for state representative for my district. Thank you.
I think being principal at Jackson County High School with over 600 students, that's over 1,200 parents, 2,400 grandparents, over 100 adults, counting coaches that work in the building. There's always something going on. So I feel like at times I'm a firefighter. I'm trying to put out fires because there's always something going on. With that many people you're talking to, there's people that's hurting. Talked to a lady today after school for about 45 minutes over a situation that happened months ago but still affects her family. And that's all over the county, that there's problems. And that's one of the things I think I bring that helps me in this situation is being able to help and talk to people and help them with their problems.
Dale. Dale, use the mic.
I forgot about the mic. That could be a number of things, I guess. Like I said, I run a delivery truck for 18 years. Got out and seen a lot of people, and there's a big responsibility with that because you handle a lot of cash and a lot of money of somebody else's. And I guess the biggest thing is being raised by women. I've lived with women all my life, and I've got a wife and 2 daughters now. And if you could put up with that, I think you can just about stand anything. But they might not agree with that, but that's just the way it is. And, you know what, I've took this job pretty serious for 12 years, and I'll continue to do it as serious as I know how to do it. And vote for me May 22nd, and I appreciate it.
Okay. I think what helped me a lot is working with my dad at Carpenter's Constructions and at Ammo Greer's. We done a lot of blacktopping, graveling, ditch pulling, you name it. We pretty much done it if it dealt with the roads. And sometimes, you know, stuff that didn't deal with the roads. And then, like I said, I've owned my own business for 30 years plus. I worked all over Lexington, Jackson County, just wherever people need me, I went. And which I've had 2 or 3 crews working under me. I've done good. I think I could do good for this county if I'm elected. And like Dale said, I have been too raised with a bunch of women. I'm like Dale, I got 4 sisters too. So, and we're the babies, both of us. So thanks for your time, and I appreciate you voting in May. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the greatest things that I faced while I was teaching school, that had a lot to do with it, but I also subbed bus drive. And when you drive a bus and you see where those kids come from and where you drop them off at, it will make all the difference in the world in your attitude toward children and everybody else. They can do better, and they can do better. And I have turned parents over to social services to clean those kids up. When you pull up to a house and let 2 kids off that smell terrible, and there's a brand new mobile home sitting in the driveway, a brand new truck and a brand new car, something is not right. And I have turned them in for that, and the next day they'll be the prettiest kids you've ever laid your eyes on. Now that's something I'm very proud of, and I'll always remember that. And I think every teacher, before they teach school, should have to drive the bus or ride the bus at least 2 weeks to see who they're dealing with. These kids never see their parents. And if you treat them good, if they get on and you're smiling, they'll smile back. If you're hateful, they'll be hateful. And I think that's one of the greatest compliments that I did while in my life. Plus, at school, how much time I got? I'm already run out of time. I can't talk no more. I should have been a preacher.
Do you mind giving me that question again? The question again, please.
The question is, tell us of one or more life experience that you have had that best prepares you for the office that you're seeking.
I think in working and running those 17 routes, we had supervisors, but I was always out there running with them and working the people, 25 of them starting out, and there were headaches there, terrible headaches. But anyway, when you're dealing with public, they're always right. Sometimes I don't like that. But if you're in the snack food business and competition is so tough, they're right. If they weren't, I wouldn't have stayed in the business. So there's many a times that I've had to bite my lip to keep from saying things. But by doing that, we were successful. I worked 43 years with Sandra in a snack food business. I had a lot of patience, and I'll have that if I'm the county clerk, and I've always been honest with my customers. If you know me, you can ask the customers I had. I worked all the schools in Jackson County and courthouse and tons of stores, about all of them. Thank you.
Okay. People coming into the circuit clerk's office are usually involved, if they're not there to get a driver's license, they're usually involved in something that's going to be life-changing for them in some way or another. And those people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect and compassion. I've not had any major life-changing events in my life other than getting saved. And I think that has equipped me to do this job because the Lord instilled a love of people in my heart, and He has given me compassion, and He has given me the intelligence to do the job. So I think that serves me well.
Well, I feel like that the years that I worked in the circuit clerk's office here, everybody that knows me then knows that I treated them good. I was always there for them anytime they needed anything. I would cry with them most of the time. I remember a few domestic violence cases that I just cried with. And then the past 12 years, I've traveled all over the state training and filling in at different circuit clerk's offices. I've had the pleasure of getting to visit 110 counties out of 120, getting to see how the offices are run and how how things are done. I feel like that I brought a lot of experience back home with me, and now I'd like to come back home and work for the people of this county. I feel like that through that experience that I do have, and especially my personal experience, I do have the compassion for people. There ain't a whole lot of things that comes through the clerk's office that maybe I haven't had to deal with either myself or my family. So I feel like that I have the compassion for people that comes in to help them and to do everything I can within legal limits to help them in that office. And I think I can do the job.
Well, I've got a saying that I say all the time, and it's perfect for this question you ask. Everything that happens to you in life prepares you for something that's going to happen later. What prepared me to be here? There's several things. The way I was raised, having good parents, having a community. In Greyhawk, we went out, we played basketball with each other. We were friends. That instilled in me friendship with people. Then you go to high school, you try to make friends with as many people as you can. I went off to college. I didn't like that. Went up to State Police Academy, and after about 15 minutes, I didn't like that. But it prepared me for what was going to happen later on in life. All these things that happened. I got shipped to Harlan. I didn't like that. We sat and cried about it, but we went to Harlan. Then, get in the state police. I'm faced with all kinds of crimes and see it. Then Mom and Dad are held up in the bank robbery over here. We got to hear family ridiculing us because we haven't caught the people. Everything that happens to you from day to day prepares you for what's happening tomorrow. So you can't pick out one item that's prepared me for being here today.
This question is being directed to the folks that are running for state representative. And we'll start with Mr. Hayes this time. What do you consider to be the positive attributes of Jackson County?
The people, especially the kids. I would tell anybody, I've been the luckiest person in the world. I've got the greatest job in the world right now, working with a great group of kids. I'm retiring in July after 31 years. But we care about people. When somebody, you look around the community, we're having this Saturday night, we're having a fundraiser for a young lady that's battling cancer. That happens all the time around here. Somebody's house burns, which mine did almost 3 years ago. And people help you. You know, I don't think that happens everywhere. We're so lucky to have that. I mean, I was very lucky. I had a young man that brought me his change after my house burned. And I mean, I'll never forget that. But I can go, all of us can think of tons of examples that's happened around this community, but our kids and our people are our most important thing.
So I'll have to agree with Keith on this one. Jackson County has the most hospitable people in the state, the country. That I've traveled all over the country. Whenever I was in the military, just traveling in general, and by far the most hospitable people that you'll ever meet is right here in Jackson County. We have a business right down the road that I started in 2011, and we see hundreds and hundreds of people every single day, and we've never had an issue with anyone ever being rude or anything. I mean, they're just the most hospitable people that come in. They help you, you help them. It's just by far the greatest asset that Jackson County probably has is just the hospitality of the people. Thank you.
Okay, this question is being directed to the county clerks and the circuit clerks. Moving forward from this point, what are some examples of how you or your staff can make life better in Jackson County?
Well, the one thing, we've got the clerk's office exactly where we want it. And a lot of times people come in, nobody likes to pay taxes, let's face it. And that's a very hard job for anybody. But girls, I tell them all the time, if they come in and you're smiling, they'll smile. If you're hateful, they'll be hateful. It's just a common thing. We've been doing that for 16 years. And now when people come in, they appreciate the girls. When I'm out in the public campaigning, and believe me, I've been out a lot, and people comment on that. You've got the finest group of girls that I've ever seen in my life because they're always friendly. They're very prompt. They know what they're doing. They get you in, get you out. Because people come to the clerk's office, they're either going to work, coming from work, or they're on lunch break. So you want to get them in, get them out, and get them on their business with a smile. And we have accomplished that, and we'll keep doing that. I've got the same girls, except one that I've had the whole time I've been there. And people appreciate that. And I've got a girl from every part of the county. And when someone comes in from any part of the county, they'll recognize that particular person. And that means a lot. They'll go to that person and start talking about their families and stuff. I see it says time expired, but I'm not done.
I think something would help the county and help those that are in the county. We need to stand firm on the truth. We need to treat everyone equal. If I'm elected county clerk, I will always stand up for Christian values. I am a Christian. Something that on this campaign that I've heard many, many, many times. They have asked me, if I'm the new county clerk, if I would consider staying in late one night a week. Yes, I will. But I have tried my best to find out from Frankfort and other people in surrounding counties. I cannot find how late that we can stay open. In Western Kentucky, they stay open at 8 o'clock. That's Central. Eastern, 7 o'clock. But I'll promise you, if you elect me county clerk, if there is a need, I will stay late one night a week and be glad to help.
Well, the people in my office care about people. Everybody that comes through that office is treated the same. I don't care how big or how little you purport to be. They're all treated the same with dignity and respect and compassion, and we'll continue to do that. They're trained. We always keep up on the latest technology and training for our job, and we will continue to serve the people with the dignity and respect that they deserve.
Well, I plan on serving everyone, like I said before, with compassion, honesty. I feel like I can do the job. One thing I am going to do, I am going to work on getting to be able to stay open late one night a week, as Paul has said. It works in other counties. I've just come out of the county in Spencer County. I worked there for 4 months. They were open late on Thursday nights. They had several people to come in and renew their license on that night, and it worked great for them, and I feel like it worked great for Jackson County. And another thing I'm going to do also is just recently, like the last couple of 3 years, they quit sending out reminders for your driver's license. A lot of people are letting their license expire because they don't know that it's time to renew. I am going to work on a process to be able to do that, either to call, mail out something, run it in the newspaper, Facebook, radio, whatever it takes to get it out to people that they need to check their license on their birth month and be able to get in and get them renewed within that month, because a lot of people don't like having to take that test over, and I've seen a lot of elderly people that's had to do it, and they really are disappointed when they do. But that is two things I am going to work hard to get.
I've thought about what they've said. I've talked about to people in the past couple of weeks. I'm very open to having the office open later in the evenings for people if it's feasible. There's things that's not feasible. You have to get in contact with your sheriff's office, make sure court security can check people through the front. I can't make promises without talking. That's things that I have ideas about. What she said, Teresa said about the driver's license, I support that. I'm for that. I've told people that. There needs to be a way. There needs to be a way to notify people. The state sends out emails to people now. But one thing that I will do as your clerk, other than these ideas, is talk to the citizens and see what's best for you. It's your office. I would just be the person there guiding the office, steering the ship. So things that, if your ideas that would make it better may not be the ideas that I have to make it better. If I'm your clerk, I will work for you. Some things you can't make everybody happy in everything you do, but I can guarantee you I will be your clerk. You will see me in public, not just because an election's going on. I'm very active in the Cattlemen's Association and the Jackson County Cruisers, and I will continue to do so.
Okay, this question will be directed to the magistrates, and this time we'll start with Mr. Wilson. What kind of person would make a really good magistrate?
Well, I believe that it's got to start out with your family. You got to have a real good family, real good background, real working upbringing, and to know what's going on, listen to people. That's the main thing, is to consider people. Let them call and tell you. And pick up the phone and just let them, if they need something, go out and meet with them, go to their roads any way possible. Take care of that. That is the main thing. Get the roads redone. Listen to people. Understand. Believe in family. Family values has got a lot to do with everything these days. And like I said, if I'm elected, I will. If I get voted in, I will not forget about you as soon as I get in office. I will be there for you anytime my phone rings if you've got a question. Thank you.
What kind of person would make a really good magistrate?
Me. No, I agree with Oscar a whole lot of it. It's listening to people and seeing what the needs are, and management's a whole lot of it. We get a certain amount of funding for roads, and it comes down through flex money, and that's off the gas pump. We get a certain amount of tax off the gas pumps. That's whenever you go fill your car up, you contribute it to the county roads. That has to be spent on the county roads, and that's very minimal. We per district, you can do a couple, 3 miles a year. And I think we got like 525 county road miles. And it's just hard to stretch that out and manage it and do all that. But another thing is just working with the other magistrates in physical court. Roads ain't all it is, as we all know. We've had a lot of financial troubles, and it's just working with the judge executive and other magistrates and trying to sort those problems out. Thank you.
Okay, this question is for the entire group again, and we'll start with Mr. Judd and come this direction. The office which you are seeking has a list of duties. In the business world, we would call this a job description. Most of the time, this job description contains the minimum duties required to get the job done. Considering that you will do all the minimum and expected duties, what is the one thing that you would add to your duties that brings added value to Jackson County?
I like the way you said that, because I've made the comment again to people this past week. There's things that are expected. People expect you to be professional. They expect you to be honest. You shouldn't tell people that. But what you should do is you should tell people the truth. And the truth is, if I'm your clerk, I'm going to be the clerk for the people. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be out in the community working, and I'm going to be professional wherever I go. If I represent this county, I can guarantee you I will be professional doing that. You will not be ashamed of me. There's officials in this county that have went out in prior administrations and been working all over the state with the state police. I would hear the ridicule, how they were being made fun of. If I represent this county, I want to represent this county where they're coming home and telling you, Judd did a good job, you should be proud of him, no matter where I'm at. That's what I want to be for you. I did that with the state police. Service above self. I had to give that up a long time ago. I've worked Christmas Day. I've gave up birthdays. I've did it all because that was my job, and I will continue to do that.
Well, I just plan on, like I said, being efficient, doing my job. I have the experience to do it. I will serve the county 110%. I will do everything I can to make the office better. I will dig in and see what needs to be done to do that. I know that there's always improvements that can be made, and I feel like that from my past 12 years that I've had out of the county working, that I have brought home a lot of experience and a lot of things that I can change. Like I said, I have to wait till I win the election, though, to get in there and just see what all's needed. But I will give it 110% of myself, and I've always done that with every job I've ever had. I've given it 110%. As him, like I said, I've worked a lot of late hours. I've drove 1 million miles all over this state, so I will do everything I can for this county. I will be honest. I will be whatever you need. I'll try to do my best.
Well, I feel like I've always put people first before myself. Anytime, I know we're open one Saturday a month, and we average 4 to 6 people on that Saturday a month. And you have to have a clerk, court security, and the janitor's usually there. And I believe in being physically responsible as well as trying to help people. As far as talking about their driver's license, I personally sit down with a phone book, and this list we get from Frankfort that shows people's licenses are about to be expired a year. I personally sit down and call them and tell them, hey, your license is getting ready to expire, if I can get up with them. That's why we have implemented, when people come in, we ask them for an email address or a phone number. Where can we reach you if we need to let you know that your license is about to expire? I guess that's it.
Number one, for me, a goal I have in that office, if you elect me, is to earn your trust and respect. I need that. I have several things that I'd hope would help the people. As a county clerk, any decisions that I make in that office, I'll promise you, I'll keep you all in mind, the citizens of this county. When you come in there, I want you to have a good experience. I want the ladies to be nice to you. I'll be nice to you. I want you to be, when you leave that office, I want you to be glad that you were in there. I don't want you so upset where we treated you bad that you could bite a nail in two. I want you to look forward to coming back because I'd love to see you. Thank you.
Okay, there's one good thing about my office. The girls in there and me, if there's a major decision to be made, we get together and we talk about it and we make it together. Because we're not going to make a decision and the other one has to suffer through. You know what I'm saying? So we do it together. We work together. And everybody leaves happy and everybody's happy with it. Before I do a hire, I've only had to hire one time. But we discussed it 2 or 3 days in a row. So before we made that hire, they picked the girl they got to work with. I don't got to work with them. They do. And so there's so many things that a clerk has to do. Now, I do a lot of, I'm involved with a lot of committees and things like that, probably too much. But I've never taken a vacation since I've been clerk for 16 years. That's dedication now, children. Don't think it ain't. So I'm there every day, and I work to help the people any way we can help them. They know I will. I've drove as far as Black Lick. I don't know if y'all know where that's at or not, but after work, I go to Black Lick and notarize deeds. Older people that can't get out and come to McKee, I go to their house. Not many people would do that because that's a lot of gas if you're driving a Jeep or a four-wheel drive. And as far as staying late one night, we've tried that and talked about it, and I've talked about it in Frankfort. If you do that, you've got to close a half a day because who's going to pay? We're not allowed to pay overtime. And we're open a half a day on Saturday, and that's as good as you can get. But now, that's a good idea what y'all have, but it can't be done because the state won't allow it. And if you go overtime or you go late at night, you have to pay them. You can't pay overtime. And the state is not there to help you if you have a breakdown. Excuse me.
Know if he's done yet or not. Okay. No, I've got one. Okay, so my time's not started yet. All right. All right, as your state representative, my number one job is to protect your God-given rights. And I've been doing that, and I'm going to continue to do that. And then it's to ease concerns of my constituents through legislation. I'll continue to do that. It's also to bring resources back to the district. And I promised you before I was elected that I would be the most transparent legislator that you've ever seen. And I've been doing that. I let you know how I vote on every single thing that I vote on. I've held 2 town hall meetings in every county since I've been elected. I continuously am transparent with every single thing that I do. I'll continue to be transparent. And I listen to the people. I don't vote with my gut reaction. I vote how the people want me to vote because I'm in that office for you, and that's who I'm going to be working for. That's who I work for. Thank you.
I represent you. And the only way that I can represent you is to know what you need, what you want. And the way I do that is to get out in the community and talk to people. I know at Frankfort, one year it's 60 days you're in Frankfort, the next year 30. I know occasionally you have to go back for committees. Somebody say that's a part-time job, but I don't think it is. Because those other days, you need to be in the community, in Jackson County, Madison, Laurel, in the grocery stores, in the drugstore, in different places, talking to people. Because that's what it comes back to, is knowing you. Because if I don't know you, then I can't represent you.
Dale, would you repeat the question?
The question is, the office which you are seeking has a list of duties. In the business world, we would call this a job description. Most of the time, this job description contains minimum duties required to do the job. Considering that you will do all the minimum and expected duties, what is the one thing that you would add to your duties that brings added value to Jackson County?
Well, just continue to do what we've done the last 3 or 4 years. Focus on what's important. Focus on finances, and just get out and like I said before, like some of these guys, just get out and listen to the people and see what they need. And as Oscar said earlier, just see what the people need and see what we can do. And there's a lot of ideas, but sometimes when you put that on the table, it's not as good an idea as what you thought it was. Whenever you get to laying things out, and that's a good thing about some of the officials that's here, and I bet all these guys and ladies here would do the same. You could actually sit down at a table and talk to them and get a lot of things done, and that's a good thing about Jackson County. You can sit and talk to people, and they understand. They're very understanding people.
Well, I agree with Dale. I mean, it's all about the people. You get out, talk with them, mingle with them, see what's on their mind and their heart, their family, youngins. So we got to focus. We're going to be gone one of these days, and it's going to be our youngins taking their place. No matter what we're doing in this life, they got to be here. And I would like to bring to the table extra of making this county safer, not just our district, but whole Jackson County. That's the one thing we've got to look at. We've got problems, and we just got to figure out how to solve them. We just got to leave everything in good shape for the next generation, and don't leave it like it's been in the past.
Okay, this question is directed at the clerks again. And Duck, we'll start with you.
I'm ready.
Duck's ready before I even ask the question.
Well, I don't get enough time. I'm a talker, brother.
Do you consider holding the office of county court clerk or circuit court clerk as your job, or do you consider it an opportunity to serve? Please explain your answer.
Both. I love to serve the people. I did it as a teacher, and I've done it as a clerk. I've done everything possible to help Jackson County. You know that, I know that, everybody knows that. I'm well satisfied with the job I've done. And serving on these committees proves it. I was on a committee with the county clerk, Kentucky County Clerk Association's budget committee. There's 5 of us. We work with millions of dollars every year. So they have confidence in me. And you can ask any clerk in the state of Kentucky about me, and I guarantee they'll say something. But and the HALV program, I've done a lot for the veterans. We formed a club in Hazard, and I know I'm running too long, but there was 12 clerks started a club, and it's called the HALV, Help a Veteran Every Day. We have gathered money you wouldn't believe, selling those little birdhouses and things like that. We got one in Western Kentucky and one in Hazard. So if you ever get a chance, go to those. We don't call them rest homes, we call them veterans homes. And it's only veterans are allowed there. And then the biggest thing was I made 3 trips to Frankfort on my own after work to buy money for the DAV. That's why they wear the finest uniforms that you can get. I got them $20,000 one lick on my own because I cared. If it wasn't, can I go a little bit? If it wasn't for veterans, we wouldn't be here. We'd be under dictatorship. There'd be no such thing as a clerk or a judge or a jailer or a sheriff or whatever. And that's why I did that, because I cared about them. And I had some good friends that were veterans too. So I'm very proud of being a clerk, and I'm proud of what I've done as a clerk, because the clerk's office wasn't the best office you ever seen when I first came in. But now it's top of the line. People come and look at it, and that's a good sign. Sorry.
The question is, do you consider holding the office of county court clerk as your job, or do you consider it an opportunity to serve the people? Please explain your answer.
I won't consider this a job. It is. I don't have no clue what this office pays. I'm not in it for that. Yes, I need money. But something that I've always wanted to do, like I've told you, since '71, I've run routes in this country. I've sold a lot of Tom's potato chips, and I've always wanted to give back. I don't know what percentage of people buying my snacks that help me with my living. I don't know what percentage. I'm going to say probably 25 or 30%. I've always wanted to do something to give that back. If those chips don't leave those racks, you don't make no money. You don't pay no bills. So I hope and pray that this is one way that I can give back for the years that they bought my chips. I just love this county. I really, really do. And I'm so glad to be back home. And I just hope I can do things to help and never take anything away.
Well, Doug, consider it both a job and an opportunity. I love serving people. I love it when I can accomplish something for them and help them. They come in there looking for answers. I can either point them in the right direction. I can't give legal advice, but I can point them in the right direction and help them with that. And talking about the driver's license again, there has been many times that I have stayed over late, and there's many times that we have come in early to accommodate someone who works out of the county or is a truck driver or whatever, because they are not able to get in here through the week. So it's not all about staying open on Saturday. It's about making yourself available when the person can come in. And I have done that many times and will continue to do so.
I do consider this a job and an opportunity, but I consider it an opportunity more than I do a job, because I can live without the money I have for 63 years. But I would like to come back and serve the people of this county where I've grew up. I was born and raised here in McKinney. I've been here in Jackson County my whole life. I would consider it a privilege of coming back and being able to help the people in Jackson County. I'll do 110%. All I want is to serve the people, guide them in the right way, as Doris says. You can tell them which direction to go, and you can give them answers. And help people. A lot of the times it's just a small answer. A lot of the times people don't expect much, but they just need a little bit of an answer. And I do look forward to coming back and doing that if I'm elected. I would love to serve the people of Jackson County. I feel like that I can do that with my qualifications and my experience.
I don't know anything else but my job to be a servant of people. That's all I've ever did. A lot of sacrifices have been made. I'm not here. It's hard for me to tell you what I've done because I don't like to toot my own horn, because that's what I did. It's just how I'm stamped. My job that paid me was to be a servant. I've stomped in people's houses because they were fighting with their spouses. I didn't want to be there, but I went. But if your items got stolen, I would go find it. That was my job, was to serve you. I don't know anything else. I don't know how to answer that because that's all I've ever done. I drove a dump truck for Carpenter's Trucking when I was 21 years old to pay my way through college. I took off a semester to do that. It's the only job I've had that wasn't a public servant. I work for a federal contractor now as a court security officer in the federal courthouse. It's a job, but all I know is service. I hope anybody that knows me, they already know the answer to that question.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take it on my own to change the rules just a little bit. From this point forward, you'll have 90 seconds to answer your questions. This is a question for the state representative candidates. Where do you place improvements to Highway 421 in Jackson County on your priority list? Mr. Hayes.
Well, when I drove to Richmond the other day, it's definitely going to be on that end of the county on 421. Because, I mean, I know the highway department, I'm sure, is doing the best they can do, and I don't know if it's the rock quarry that's causing the damage, but there's a lot of damage to 421 on that end of the county. So 421 on that end of the county definitely needs to be improved. The whole road could be widened. That would be great. It'd be nice to have a new 30 and a new 421.
I reckon 421 improvement number one on my list because the money was allocated in the road budget that I voted for to finish Highway 30. We got $20 million plus for Jackson County in this road budget to finish Highway 30 and fix some bridges. And I've told everybody my next mission is to get 421 straightened out and widened. We're not going to get new businesses in here. It's a logistics nightmare until that road gets fixed. So that has to be our next mission in Frankfort for the next road budget, is to get improvements done to 421. So that's number one on my priority list for the roads in Jackson County after we finish this road budget that we just passed. Yes, sir.
This question is a follow-up question. Can you, since 421 is a number one priority, can you explain in detail how your plan is to reach that goal? Mr. Goforth.
Okay, so of course we work with the transportation department, does scoring as far as the roads, but then all of those jobs will come over to the legislature, and then ultimately we do decide which roads get funded. And of course, I've made it well known whenever I was running for election for the first time and for re-election that that's going to be my number one goal, is to work with the legislature, the transportation cabinet, to make sure that 421 is top of the list for Jackson County's next road projects. Until we get 421 fixed, we're not going to be able to get the jobs in here that we need. We're not going to be able to ease the access. We have lots of people in the audience right now that travel that road back and forth to Madison County and other places every single day to go to work. If that road was fixed, it would ease their time to get back and forth to work, but what it would also do would create an opportunity to bring in new businesses here, new factories and people to bring jobs here, so they wouldn't have to travel up to Madison County. They could work right here in Jackson County. So that's the number one priority on my list.
Since 421 is a number one priority on your to-do list when you get to Frankfort, can you explain how that what you're going to do in order to complete that goal?
Well, like I said earlier, you have to know the other 99 state representatives, because you can get nothing passed if you can't get it out of committee. You're not going to get it out of committee unless people in that group agree with you, they like you. If I can go in there and I make everyone mad, then and they don't agree with you, then you can get nothing through, because it comes down to numbers. You have to have the majority that will agree with you. And that comes down to being a people person. That comes down to getting to know that group like I know some of you. Because that's the only way you can get things through at Frankfort, is to get the majority through. You can have the greatest idea in the world. It can be what's right for the people. But if you don't get the majority of those other state representatives to go along with you, then it will not get out of the committee. It will not pass. So that'll be the number one thing to do to get 421 through, is to get to know those other 99.
Okay, this question is being directed to the magistrate candidates. And we'll start with Dale Vaughn. What are the two most important functions of fiscal court?
Sorry about that. I can't remember this mic. Finances and management of the funds and budgeting, I would think. The second function would be road supervision, seeing what needs done and how to do it and try to find funding for that. There's a lot of things that happen whenever you budget for. We have a set amount for roads. Whenever that happens, whenever a mudslide or snow or something comes, you don't budget. We don't budget for that. We don't budget for snowstorms and ice storms, because you just can't do it. But there's a lot of emergency funding that we apply for that's set aside in the state level, and we apply for that. And whenever that happens, we pursue that. And the magistrates take a big role in that, seeing what needs to be done, what needs to be funded, what don't need to be funded. But the budgeting part of it, the judge executive is sort of responsible for making the budget. We approve it, we look over it, we approve it. A magistrate, they don't have executive powers daily. The only time we have executive powers is during open physical court meetings. The judge executive has day-to-day powers, executive powers. So, just looking over stuff and manage it and make sure everything's doing, what it should be, that's probably the number one job.
I have to agree 100% with Dale. I mean, he about put it all right down in a nutshell. I mean, it's pretty much like he's talking about. We get our opinions and vote on it when it comes, but it's up to the judge to do his thing to get stuff going on in the county. And I'm sorry, that's just about all I can say about it, because he summed it all up.
This question is being directed to the clerks. And we'll start with Mr. Judd. It is my opinion that every citizen has responsibility to community. Some of us do more, some of us do less. In your opinion, what is community service, and how have you personally been involved in serving your community?
Well, I spoke earlier. I guess it's unfair to me because my job was community service and public service. But beyond that, I have been very active in my church. I've been very active in the Jackson County Cattlemen's Association. I'm on the board of directors. So I try to go out when we have, I go to every meeting unless I'm covered up with work, and try to be out in the community and help and do what I can. I'm active in the Jackson County Cruisers, where we meet and get together. The guys, I have a 57 Chevy station wagon. We get together, cruise around, try to go out. We collect money for Christmas at the Jackson County Cruisers. I wasn't as active last year. I didn't realize what all they were doing. But since I learned what they were doing with the money and buying Christmas presents and that sort of thing, then I tried to get more involved with that. There's other things that you can do as community servants. It's trying to bring your community together, trying to make your community better. Very active when the fair comes to town. I'm not on the fair board, but with our cattlemen's, we try to be active. I try to be down here when everything's going on. When they have singings, when they have comedians or whatever they have, I bring my family as a family so we can participate in the activities that we have in the community. Not just because I'm running for office. That's what we do in daily life.
Well, as I've said before, for the past 12 years I've been out of the county, so I haven't had the time to be on any type of committees or to do anything for the county. But now that I'm back home, I plan on getting involved in everything I can. I've already spoke with someone about the Cancer Fund, and we do help the Cancer Fund through our business across the street. 3 of my friends and myself have a small business. We average donating 4, 5, 6 times a month to different types of things in the community. We try to help every benefit, every thing that they do for anyone that's sick, Cancer Fund, anybody that's just had a misfortunate accident or whatever and they're collecting money. We always donate items for their auctions. We try to help in any way we can. And again, like I said, now that I've come back home, I do plan on getting involved in more because I do love the community. I was born and raised here, and I love this county, and I plan on being just as active as I can.
Would you repeat the question, please?
The question was, it is my opinion that every citizen has responsibility to community. Some do more, some do less. In your opinion, what is community service, and how have you personally been involved in serving your community?
I think community service has just been a responsible, hardworking individual who contributes to the economy and the society. I've always been responsible. I've always been hardworking. I'm not on any committees, but anytime I'm asked to help with anything, wherever it be, at church or Trust for Life or whatever, I step forward and help. I'm glad to help. I'll help in any way I can.
Same for us. I have one of the best jobs right now that I've ever had in my life. I've only had 2, but me and my wife both deliver meals for Meals on Wheels. I love people. I really do. I love you guys, and I love everybody watching. Seriously, I do. And I love to give back, and through the years, me with a lot of people in this county, we've been able to give back, but we're not going to talk about that. But I love to help people, and I'm going to tell you something. Not only do I love people, you fall in love with these old people that I deliver meals to. Not only do we deliver meals, sometimes these people, their children neglect them. They need things. And this is not about Paul Alexander or Sandra Alexander, but something that costs $0.25 sometime for a Mother's Day or a Christmas ornament for somebody. That means the world to them. And I'm so glad that I've been blessed with such a great job of taking these people that dinner. But I will give back any way I can, and right now that's what we've been doing. I'm doing it going on 3 years. But thank God for this good job and the opportunity I have serving those.
Oh, I've served the people in many ways. We used to pick up garbage and things like that, which is very important, and right now it's getting so bad that something's got to be done with it. And that's one thing that's hurting 421. If you go this way toward Richmond, it's pitiful. And Big Hill is pitiful, where they eat and they throw their garbage out there. And that hill on the other side of Sand Gap, if you look to the right, you'd think it was a landfill. It's pitiful. And that's one thing that's kept us from getting things in here that we should. Now, I'm on the Kentucky Mountain Housing Directors Board, and so we help people through that a lot. If you make a certain salary, your interest is only 2.5%. You can't get that anywhere. And we go to the schools a lot, and I go to a lot of sporting events. You think those parents and kids don't know when you're at a sporting event? baseball games and basketball games and things like that. Let them know you care about them. And a few years ago, every elected official in this county, and some of them are here tonight, we went to every school in Jackson County and told them and tried to tell them to do the right thing about drugs and things like that. And they listened. They was good at that. And I told them, I said, we're not here because we don't have nothing to do. We're here because we care about you. And those kids appreciated that. Now, just last week, I went to the middle school and talked to 7 different groups of 7th, 8th graders about their future and what lies out there for them. And they were so nice, tentative. They sat there, they asked questions, and they were very important. I was concerned about stuff like that. What can I do with my future? So I've done so much for the community that, and I don't get credit for it. I don't care. It's part of my job, and I like people, and I like to do that. And those kids need it.
This question is directed to the representatives at the state level and to the magistrates at the county level. And we'll start with Mr. Goforth. Littering and unsightly empty buildings are some of the problems that prevent businesses from locating in Jackson County. What ideas do you have at the state level to help fix this?
Repeat the first part of the question.
Littering and unsightly empty buildings are some of the things that prevents people from moving here and prevents businesses from trying to make a go of it here. At the state level, what ideas do you have to fix these problems?
Well, I actually had some conversations about that today, and that should be a county ordinance. So a county ordinance to make sure that the littering is taken care of, the unsightliness of the buildings are cleaned up. They need to enforce that. If they don't enforce that, then we'll have to work at a state level to enforce the county takes care of that. But that's a county ordinance, or it should be a county ordinance to take care of your personal property and make sure that the littering doesn't occur. So if the county doesn't enforce it, then we'll just have to make sure that the state does at that level.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, littering and unsightly empty buildings are some of the problems that we face that prevents people from moving here and prevents businesses from trying to make a go of it here. What ideas do you have from the state level to help fix this problem?
I agree with Mr. Goforth. I think first it starts here at home, that we have to take care of it ourselves here in this community. If the community doesn't take care of it, then it can go to the state, but it's a local situation that we've got to take care of.
Okay, Mr. Vaughn. The boys in Frankfort have passed this question on to you.
Most time, that's what they do. No, we have an ordinance on trash pickup and garbage and stuff like that, already in place. If you see somebody that's got garbage piled up, and, we mentioned this physical court meetings, call and let us be aware of it. But as far as the empty buildings, that would have to be a zoning and coding and issue, or we'd have to do something there. And I'd be willing to bring that to the table, but, there's several different sides of that. Whenever you get into that zoning and stuff, if you build an outbuilding out in the backyard, park your lawnmower in, you're going to have to go through the proper steps. So a lot of people don't want to do it. But that would also take care of these empty buildings. So, I'd be willing to discuss that and find a way to resolve that problem and see what we, go from there. But, it's just... a lot of the cities, a lot of the bigger towns have that. And the state has got some laws set in place that can take care of that. But as they said, a lot of this zoning, we'd have to pass a zoning law to enforce this and tear some buildings down and have them condemned and all this stuff. But I think that the state's already come down and looked at some buildings and some properties. But, that's that'd be an open That'd be an open book. We'll just have to talk about that and see what we can do to resolve it.
Well, I think if you've got them big buildings like that, you tell the landowners that they need to do something, or they will start getting fined. If they cannot do that, have a gathering with the county and try to clean it up for the first time. You know, do the first time free, just have a cookout or whatever you all want to call it. Just everybody get involved, clean up your own community, and then go from there. You get that cleaned up and just help each other, and eventually you'll get it done. But as far as the cleanup around the building, you know, they got pride. You know, I think if there's a bag of trash laying on the road, and I've heard people talk about years back, why can't people, the authorities, go through that bag of trash? Somebody has messed up and throw the number in there or address. That's the only way you're going to stop this stuff. You're going to start finding people, maybe setting up trail cameras or whatever to get a hold on this. If not, we're going to have a big problem. Thank you.
This question is directed to the state representatives. What are Jackson County's greatest needs that you would address when you get to Frankfort? Keith Hayes.
Well, jobs is one thing that this community needs. If you look, Jackson County is always in the top 3 in unemployment in the state of Kentucky. And there's several reasons for that. And we've already mentioned the roads being one of the number one things that we need to fix. Drugs are also a huge problem. Illegal and legal. You know, we've lost several parents at Jackson County High School. We've got several kids there that they don't have a parent because of the drug problem. So both of those kind of go hand in hand. We've got, you know, I've heard many people say, you know, if we brought a business in right now, do we have enough workforce here that could pass a drug test for that job? So there's several things we need to look at. You know, we need to continue to work and educate our kids and get them trained for jobs, and we've got to keep them off drugs. But we have to have better road construction. We have to have a better infrastructure set up to get businesses in here.
Repeat the question.
The question is, what are Jackson County's greatest needs that you would address when you get to Frankfort?
So Jackson County's greatest needs, of course, bringing resources, jobs, things like that, and working on the drug problem. And I've already started working on all of that. My first piece of legislation that I got passed as your state representative was to bring Jackson County into the Kentucky Mountain Regional Recreation Authority, which can open up hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of tourism dollars. That was my first piece of legislation, was to go to bat for Jackson County and bring money here to the county, because if you look at those places where that has been successful, they've taken some towns of about 400 people that ended up having a $10 to $16 million investment over a 10-year period. It's brought business after business after business. I've talked about improving 421, getting that fixed so we can bring businesses in here. And then to combat the drug epidemic, passed co-sponsored legislation to start pilot programs for Vivitrol, which is a opioid receptor blocker, has no narcotic in it whatsoever, no pharmacological activity except to block those opioid receptors. And I know I'm running out of time, but Duck talks for a minute or two over every single time, so I just want to let you know. That has no pharmacological activity whatsoever, but to block those opioid receptors, you cannot get high on it. Nobody will ever steal this medication because they're trying to get high. It is the only medication-assisted treatment that I believe we should be using. And then, of course, bring Jesus Christ into the picture, because that's the only way we're ever going to make it, brother. So my time's up, but you know how I stand on everything.
We'll give everybody a chance to comment at the end. This question is directed to the clerks, again, both county and circuit. And we'll start with you, Doug.
Did you turn me off? The thing I was going to say is that we see these stats in the paper that Jackson County is lowest unemployed county, third from the bottom or something like that. That's not true. 62%, and Judy knows this, we've studied it, 62% of our workforce works out of the county. They work, they just don't work in Jackson County. And I get so tired of hearing that I went to Frankfort and looked it up. 62%. That's a lot of people that work, but they're working out of the county. And we got to manage some way to get those jobs back to the county. And we can't until it's cleaned up. Go ahead. What was that question?
This is the question.
Am I not right?
How can you use your elected position to work with other elected officials to create higher standards for the average citizen in Jackson County?
I've always worked with the other elected officials, and they'll tell you that. I've done everything possible that I can do through my office, and not through my office, but through Frankfort. Over the years, I've got to know a lot of people in Frankfort, and Shane can tell you that. I know them all. Not all of them, but there's 18 phone calls in my desk right now of representatives that I can call, and they will actually talk to me. They know me, because when I go to these meetings and I see somebody with a tie on, you know what I do? I walk up and say, "Who are you?" And then they'll talk to you. So I do everything I can to work with every elected official in this county. And I've always done that, and I always will. And I've gotten a lot of things done for this county through that. Everybody in here knows that. Every elected official in here knows that. You want me to keep on going?
You've got about 15 more seconds.
One thing that we've not hit on, and to me it's really important, is audits. I've had 15 audits done, and every one of them has been just exactly what they were supposed to be. I've never been off any money whatsoever on an audit. And that's one thing in my office that I'm really proud of. Now, a lot of clerks has had problems with that, but we have not.
Rodney, I'm sorry, but I need that repeated again.
I forgot the question myself, Paul, but hold on just a minute. How can you use your elected position to work with other elected officials to create higher standards for the average Jackson County citizen?
Rodney, I'd hope with working with these people that I could get to know them. Most of them I don't know, but if we would be open and honest with each other, such as going on tonight, I'd hope that we could all work together and come up with ideas. And one thing for sure that I wanted to bring in here, and I hope that it will relate to this, something, if I'm elected county clerk, I will work with a fiscal court big time. I've sat in on a couple of meetings in the last couple of months, and I hear things, and I will be very careful in recording the minutes of the meetings, realizing this is very important. Their jobs are very important, and I sure want to work with those guys. I'll promise that I'll record every minute that comes through there. There's a good possibility if I'm elected, when I start out, I might be a little slow in keeping minutes. I've been doing that longhand. But anyway, I'll tell you what I'll do. If I have problems with this, I'm going to sit in on every one of them from now to May the 23rd. But anyway, if I have to get this thing right and be sure that I get every minute, I'll get one of the ladies in the office to come with me, and her and I will keep minutes. So I will work with them for sure, and I'll do anything to help any of these elected officials. I don't really know what will be expected of me. I've never been a county clerk before, but I'll do everything in my power to help them.
I have a very good working relationship with all the county officials and the court officials, and I feel it's very important. If you don't work together, you're not going to accomplish anything, and actually you're going to fail if you don't work together and have honesty among each other and strive for the same common goal. We can see in our news every day what happens when you're divided, when you don't stand together and stand for something and work toward that goal.
Oh, I feel like I can work with all of the elected officials to help Jackson County until I actually get in there. I don't know exactly what I need to do, but I've always had a good relationship with everyone I've worked with here in Jackson County when I worked here in the circuit clerk's office, and I've always had a good relationship with everybody in the other counties that I've worked with. So you just have to get together and decide on things and see what works well, and again, I will work with all the county officials to the best of my knowledge and do everything I can to help the county.
Well, I'm going to go back to the question you asked. It's not working. The question wasn't how are we going to work with county officials, period. That's expected of you to work with county officials. You wouldn't want everybody to come in here and fight. It makes good ratings. We'd make the news, but it helps nothing. What can we do as county officials to work with other county officials to bring our citizens to higher standards? Is that the gist of your question? We have to live by higher standards. We have to put ourselves at higher standards in our job. How can we expect somebody else to do better than what they're doing when we don't do better than what's expected? There are minimum qualifications. There are minimum, my mind went blank. There's minimum requirements that you said earlier for each job. We got to go above and beyond that. When I started running for this job, people said people are going to talk about you. People are going to give you a hard time. I was a state trooper for 20 years. I'm used to it. When my mom and dad got held hostage in a bank robbery, we had a family member that accused me and my brother of doing it. We were vindicated 5 years later when the people were caught. I've been there. I've been talked about. My life is an open book. Is everybody else willing to do that that's running here? Open it up. You can look at mine. I'll let you. I challenge you. Go ahead. I've lived that way. I was raised with higher standards. If it didn't work out, I suffered the consequences for not having higher standards. That's what we can do. We got to have higher standards in our county offices for everybody here to make this county better. If not, we can't kick the can down the road anymore. It's time. It's time.
This question is directed to the magistrates. And Mr. Wilson, we'll start with you. 4 years from now, what can you put on your resume that is not there today?
Put on my resume, that's not today. Well, I could put on that we have got the best roads in our district that has ever been, the best ditches, the best friendship in the county. We can put on there that I work well with the countyans, no matter if it's people down in Sand Gap, Mullins Holler, or like in Black Lake, anywhere. We all work together. That ain't nothing but good for the resumes of anybody. Thank you.
I guess finally got the financial house in order, I would think, in the next term. It's right on track to work itself right out. We've got the taxes paid and making payments on the state taxes, I think, and all the federal taxes is paid up. Working on retirement right now. That'll be the next big goal. But yeah, I think that would be a big plus. We get the financial house in order. That's something I'd be really proud of. Yeah. When we're gonna have a commercial break?
We have not scheduled any breaks in this, but if you need one, feel free to take one.
I think the audience, I see some of the audience with sort of weird looks on their face. They may need one.
The audience can do as they please. This question is directed at all of you, every one of you. And we'll start with Mr. Judd on that end coming this direction. There are many ongoing volunteer efforts in Jackson County. Which of these catches your attention as to something really good is going on? And have you ever been involved in an ongoing volunteer organization in this county?
One thing that comes to mind, it's something that's been going on for years. It was brought up earlier. That's a problem, and it's the solution, the short-term solution to the problem, is the Pride community trash pickups. That really makes a difference in the county for a few months. And then, I know Pride was set up to educate the kids not to do this, not to throw out trash, not to do this. If you drive up Adkinstown again, where the dump used to be, they're starting to throw out trash again. I saw a mattress, I saw all these things thrown out. That volunteer effort, it's a good thing. I was talking to a school teacher today, and they had some miles that they had to pick up. Gets the kids involved. When they go out picking that trash up, they don't want to throw it out again. They don't want to do it. I've been involved with some of that in the past, around cemeteries and cleanups around there. I volunteer my time for a lot of things, but it's not an organized volunteer effort that would help our county. The Pride trash pickup, I think there needs to be some education along with that for the people. I'm ashamed to see trash thrown out. When I was a trooper, there was no warning for that. If I saw you throw out trash, you getting a ticket. I've took people to jail for that. It's my county. I take pride in my county. I probably don't get a volunteer as much as I can, but as much as I should because of time restraints.
Again, I don't have time or haven't had time in the past several years to be able to volunteer for anything. But one thing that comes to my mind, just because I have a sister now that has cancer, is the Cancer Fund. I do, the people that volunteer for that, I do intend to get involved with that because I'd never realized how much they helped cancer patients of this county in different ways. It is a very good volunteer thing if anybody wants to get involved in it. I've already spoke with someone about it, and that is high on my agenda of things to do, is to become part of the Cancer Fund volunteer people. Again, like I said, they help people in lots of ways, and I don't think the people of Jackson County really knows about it until they have somebody that has cancer in their family, and then they know, what they can see what the Cancer Fund does. So that is one thing that I'm going to do, and I hope that I can get involved in some other things also now that I've come back home.
I too take pride in my county. I've picked up garbage on the side of the roads, got a good dose of poison ivy for it. I work with the Trust for Life a lot, and we're educating people on organ and tissue donation, and that has affected my family personally, so I take that very, very seriously. I want to commend our county for working with the young people. I noticed they've been having a lot of events like movie nights and things for the children around. I think we need to invest very much in our children. We need to let them know we care, because there's a lot of families that child doesn't know they're cared for. So I want to commend the county for working with them to provide activities and that such.
I guess I'm kind of sorry and ashamed that I hadn't volunteered for a lot of things. I guess I could use this for an excuse. I put in a lot of hours at work. We do quite a few things with meals behind the scenes, but that's about the only volunteer work I have right now. But again, I hope next time that you see me, no promises, I'll try to get involved in more and not use an excuse of the hours I'm putting in with something else. But I am sorry that I haven't done more than I've done.
I know I'm going to run out of time again, but I haven't been involved. Of course, I've been down here longer than most, and I've been involved in just about everything that's going on. I don't know how many charity rides that we've actually been on to make up money for somebody that's sick, passed away, or something like that. This little boy that got killed up here and his mother's thrown off a cliff, I went to the funeral home, gave him $300. To me, that's part of the community. Me and my wife gave $100 to Hospice Care Plus in Richmond just about a month ago when her sister was down there. Because if you've never been there, you ought to go visit. It's an excellent place. And I've done everything that I know to do. The paid program, I've worked with it. I've given money every year to help buy fireworks and things like that. And the walk they had the other day, I gave them $50 for that. So I've been involved in the community, just about every organization that comes along. Of course, they always come to the people that's elected officials. You'll find that out when it's over. They always come to them, and I always help. I always give to them. I help them any way I can, and I think they appreciate that. And when the election's over, I've already talked to those people at Richmond in the Hospice Care Plus Center. We're going to have a charity ride for the Hospice Care Plus, and I think that'll go over really big if the weather's good. And that's one thing we want to do because they are so nice, they're so good, they know what they're doing, and they take care. Now, I'm not just doing this because my wife's sister was in there. There's so many people from Jackson County that's been there, and they've died there. I've went down there and notarized wills and everything else. I know how they work with people, and they're good at it. So we're going to have another charity ride for them. Okay.
Business owner, I've been blessed with the ability to give back to this community. Having a business here in McKee for many years now, I've been blessed with opportunity to be able to give back to many nonprofit organizations, volunteer organizations that do work here in Jackson County. I've personally donated time. I've started working with Susan and Debbie back there with PAID. One of the first things that I did, of course, was work with Trailtown and the off-road people that are volunteering their time to help bring tourism dollars into Jackson County. Working on things to make a homeless shelter come to fruition here in Jackson County. So I've volunteered my time in services to hopefully make that a reality soon. Volunteer my time at the schools, some of the schools here, to teach my substance abuse prevention education program, medication safety. So I've volunteered and given back to this community time and time again since I've been here.
4 years ago, we started a run club at the high school. Started a run club. We've slashed it to a run walk club. But one of the number one reasons we started that was to get our kids involved as far as get them more active. Yes, that was part of it, but two things. One, we wanted them moving more, but we wanted them to give back to the communities. We have 12 races a year. We don't do July, but we double up one of the other months, and we do things for the community. Like 3 or 4 years, we've raised money for the PAID program. That's been one of our races. The Cancer Fund. Well, in January, we did one for the volunteer fire department. We raised $1,000 for the 4 volunteer fire departments. And I think one of the biggest things is just getting the kids involved in that, and they're getting adults involved in that, but it's about learning to give back to your community. So we have so many little kids out there starting now, and that the club's got bigger every year. This past year, when we started, we thought if we can get 25 or 30 people to come to a race, we'll be flying. And in the beginning we were, because people's like, you want us to pay to run? What, that doesn't mean. But it's going to a good cause. This past year we averaged over 100. At our church, one of the things we push is for the Cancer Fund. We've done 4 fundraisers last year. Meals, raised over $8,000 for the Jackson County Cancer Fund, and we're on our way to doing that again this year.
What was the question?
The question is, there are many ongoing volunteer efforts in Jackson County. Which of these catches your attention as to something really good is going on? And have you ever been involved in an ongoing volunteer organization?
You were right. There's a lot going on. Several that I'm interested in, and there's a new one with
with these ATV deals, you know, trying to get some trails going on. And I've heard a lot about that, and that's a good thing. About anything to get the kids involved in something. Kids don't have anything to do much right now, and I'd like to see the parks improved. We actually tried to get a grant for one of those little splash pad deals, like at London City Park, Scott, on the back street. And it fell through, but we're going to try to pursue some other areas. And the second part of that question was,
What kind of volunteer organizations have you been involved with?
we've been in several, trash pickup, and they do that backpack club thing up there at church. Chad's Hope sort of took that over now, and we don't have to do as much of it as we did. But they come in maybe once or twice a month and bag groceries and stuff, and that's a real good program. And I like to see that continue, and it's just donations only from other churches and whatnot. And, you know, there's, oh, okay. I got 15 seconds. You got mine, Oscar.
Well, I think what I'd like to bring to the community, as they've already been talking about, I'm real high in four-wheeling, mudding, motorcycle riding, horse riding, anything like that. You got my vote if it helps the county. I'd like to cut some new trails. I'd like to get these trails going from here to Clay County to Estill County to Redbird, everywhere there's a four-wheel trail. I'd like to be able to join it. Ain't nothing no better getting out on the weekend with your family and your kids and meet people on the trails, play in the mud, get a little muddy, and talk about who could have went through it first and who should have and who not and all that stuff. I mean, it's just a blessing. And yes, we do give a percentage to the cancer funds. My wife, she works down at Berea Hospital as an RN, and she gives so much out of her check every 2 weeks to funds, some for here in this county, some for in Richmond, Madison County. It just varies, you know, where they need it, that's where they send it to. And I believe if we could get us a park, camping, water hooks up to whole 9 yards like they got for Law County, we could do real good here. Because we pretty much, me and Duck Moore, we pretty much know every trail here in this county pretty much on a four-wheeler, so we could do real good with that. We could bring a lot of money into this county just for that. Make McKee a trail town, make Amble a trail town, make St. Gab a trail town. That's where your money is. Thank you.
This question is directed to the state representative candidates. When asked what is our biggest problem, the standard answer has always been, it's the drugs. We need more higher paying jobs. We've got to fix education. And the list goes on. If you're realistic about these problems, they will never be fixed. What problem do you think, by working together with you, that we can make a real difference for Jackson County and its citizens?
Well, of course, the number one problem is drugs. When we have 25% of our students graduating, leaving high school that have abused a drug, that's our number one problem, no matter what, and we have to fix it because that leads to everything else. Like I've said, I started a nonprofit organization that I fully fund myself called Project DARES, and I teach children K through 12 all across the state substance abuse prevention education, medication safety. I've done that in several schools here in Jackson County now. And working with me, I'm going to promote a continuous ongoing educational opportunity for these children for substance abuse prevention education and hopefully bring prayer back to school, because that combined is going to slow down or stop this drug epidemic. If they're not educated, then they don't know. And that's the number one thing that we need to do. We have to give more attention to prevention education than to fixing it once they're already addicted. So I'm a firm believer that with my knowledge base and everything that I have with me, assets and being able to go to Frankfort and push for a continuous educational opportunity for these children through legislation if we have to, and get people to bring prayer back to school, we're going to fix the drug epidemic.
Education, and I'm in education, but kids don't know what they don't know. They know what they're raised in. If their parents are on drugs and poverty, they don't know what some of the opportunities are. So we have to start them young. We have to tell them and show them the dangers of drugs, and we have to show them what opportunities are out there. And these organizations, they need to be involved in the schools. They need to be involved in these activities, because it comes back to getting kids involved. And we have to help. When these parents do have a job away and the kids are there, we need to be there. We need to go to, like Mr. Moore said earlier, we need to go to the games and support these kids. We need to, when we see them out, we need to talk to them. And it comes back to being a community and not ignoring it. When you see a problem or a potential problem, you talk to the parent. If that doesn't help, then you go to social services or someone else. But we have to do what's best for kids. And we can't just sit back. We have to, take a stand for those kids.
Okay, this question is directed to the magistrates. And we'll start with you, Dale. The fiscal court is the ruling government for the entire county. You, as a magistrate, represent one district of this county. Going beyond your district, what do you see as the major issues that Jackson County should focus some attention toward, and how will you bring these issues to the entire fiscal court?
Well, this comes right back to revenue. In the 80s and 90s, times were pretty good. Everybody's working, a lot of money coming in. Government got pretty big. This is my opinion. Well, now that ain't nobody working, all the manufacturers leaving and stuff, they ain't enough to support what they've got. So what I think, just smaller government, and that's what we've done over the last several years, but really over the last 3 years as a Jackson County Fiscal Court, we operate with about, over the last 3 years, probably 8 or 9 less employees. You're looking at, you count retirement and workman's comp insurance on those employees, you're looking probably $35,000 per person minimum, and it's just smaller government. If you have less funding, you make a certain amount at home, and your bills go up. You can't just go in and tell your boss, I need a raise. You got to figure out what you don't need, and that's what we've done in the last 3 or 4 years. We just cut the waste and make smaller government, and I'll continue to bring that to the table.
Repeat it, please.
The question is, the fiscal court is the ruling government for the entire county. As magistrate, you represent one district of the county. Going beyond your district, what do you see as the major issues that Jackson County should focus some attention toward, and how will you bring these issues to the entire fiscal court?
Well, I think, like Mr. Vaughn said, that we need to get our money or grants and stuff, best that we can get, and then say, I believe, okay, I ain't checked, I ain't talked to the judge or Dale or anybody yet, but I really don't know how much it is that they say Ammo Greer's, which are out of business now, but how much does it cost to blacktop a road? Okay, I know you gotta have several trucks, you gotta have a man knows how to run equipment and all that, but which Shane knows how to run it, and I'm sure Dale does, and I do. But if you need a truck power, why can't you borrow from each other district? Just help each other out with the truck power, as far as that goes, just the trucks. And that way, then when they need it, we can loan to them. And that way, every road in this county can get blacktopped. Like I said once before, if somebody told me that the goal was, it might have been before Shane's time, to have every gravel road in Jackson County blacktopped. That is the county roads. And I believe that's one thing we need to get done. We need to blacktop this. I mean, I know some old people that's lived on some gravel roads that that ain't never had blacktop at their driveway all their lives. And I think that would help the county a bunch, just everybody join in and help each other around, and that would help a lot. Thank you.
This question will be directed toward the clerks, and it should be a real easy question. Tell us why you want to be county clerk or circuit clerk for Jackson County. Mr. Judd.
Working in public service for as many years as I did, I was around the court system, learned the hard way on some of the things because wasn't given a lot of guidance to start with on keeping up with all the cases. So I became intimately familiar with the Harlan County Clerk's office, because when we work a case, we have to go back to the clerk's office and get our dispositions. When I came back to Jackson County as a trooper, I grew up in Grayhall, not far from Bobby Morse. I saw how things worked in there, saw some things that knowing the other end of the spectrum on what we do on the case systems, things that I could be helpful in doing. And I retired 3 years ago. I told Bobby that 8 years ago I said, when you retire, if I'm able to run for clerk, I'm going to run for circuit clerk. Well, I wasn't able to retire when his term was up. Well, now I've been retired. I'm able to run. It's hard to get away from public service, but that's one job. I've been familiar with the court system. I'm familiar with, I was one of the first troopers in the state of Kentucky that started with the e-citation program. Our post was. That's a program where your citations are online now. So as soon as you write the ticket, hit it, it's gone. I volunteered to do that. I was one of the first troopers in the state because I took a detective's laptop to work my paperwork online. I'm familiar with the court system. I'm familiar with how the system works from both ends. And I cannot get away from public service. And I think this job fits me better for public service than any other job in the county.
Well, I've done this job since I was 25 years old, and it's just kind of grew on me. I know I could probably go home and quit. I don't want to. I've always had a dream of being the circuit clerk, even when I was started in the circuit clerks a long time ago in the clerk's office. I feel that I'm like him. I'm a public servant. I feel like I'm here to help the people. I always have been. I've always wanted to help any way I can with anybody that I can, anything that needs done. All you have to do, if you know me, is come and ask me. Believe me, I've donated. I'm like Doug. I guess I've donated probably half of my salary to people that just needs a helping hand or needs $5 for lunch. But I've just always had a dream of being the circuit clerk for quite some time. I run the last time and I failed, but I plan on trying to win it this time because I do enjoy the job. Again, I'm not doing it for the financial. I enjoy working. It's just something that I've always done. Can't think of just going home and sitting down, but I feel like I can be an asset to this community. I can run the office with my qualification as my experience, and I'd like to have the position.
I love being clerk. I love helping people, and there's in so many ways you can help people that come in there, and it makes you feel good when you can help someone. I enjoy the type of work it is. I started as a deputy clerk when I was in my 20s, and I worked there many years as a deputy clerk, and then when Bobby retired, I ran for clerk and got it. And so this is my 6th year as clerk. I just enjoy helping people, and I enjoy the type of work it is. I know the court system inside and out. If you talk to me one-on-one about the court system, I can tell you whatever you need to know. I'm a little intimidated when I'm speaking to a big crowd, but I love it, and I want to be your clerk again.
I guess, excuse me, I guess as I said a while ago that I've always wanted to give back to the county because part of my living was made in this county. Like Teresa said, I don't know why, but it's been a dream and a goal to run for county clerk. So I'm there now, but I love people, and I've got to be around people. I'd hope that I'm a people person, and I look forward to serving. I don't know all the duties of a county clerk, but I know one thing. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I can be sharpened. I'll have to learn it. And there's training in Frankfort for new county clerks. I'll do everything in my power to learn all I can. I'll learn from the deputy clerks in the office, and I'll give back any way I can. And when my years are over as a county clerk, if I win it, I wish and a dream would be to say, possibly, he's been one of the better ones, not the best. I don't expect it. I don't want it. But I'd just love for them to be able to say, he's one of the better ones, or he was.
My turn. One thing that I like the most about the clerk's office, when I leave there, I want it to be said that I was the best. And so far, we've got the clerk's office in the excellent shape. And you people's been in there, you know how you're treated and all that. But you know, the one thing that I like the most about being clerk, I taught school for years, I've been clerk for years. People that come in from out of town to funerals, homecomings, class reunions, and things like that, if they get a chance, they stop by the clerk's office because they know I'm there. The paper goes out to a lot of counties, and my name's out there, and they know I'm there, and they know that I know these people. So they'll ask me, what's so-and-so doing? Who'd they marry? How many kids they got? Now, I don't talk much. I'm kind of bashful, but still, that is the most important part to me as being a clerk, is because people stop by, and that's out of respect. They know they're going to be treated good. They know that I probably know most of the people in Jackson County. There's no doubt about it, through my teaching and through the clerking. And I really enjoy that. And I tell them everything I know, and that's true. And then I make up some stories too, Rodney. That's all right, though. But anyway, I enjoy that part. We've had the best luck that we've ever had with the Clerking Association. And Shane and Judy can verify this. There's 39 members now, ain't there, Judy, on the Trail Town, the off-road vehicle? 40-some now. So we've got the roads open. We've got the trails open. The trails are here. We just have to clean them out. We volunteered to do that. I'm a member. I've already joined it. Been to just about every meeting in the last couple months. So that's going to happen. I really believe it, don't you? And so that's going to help this community and our town and our county more than you think. Because I ride a lot, and I go to a lot of different counties. And I go to Tennessee. And I go everywhere I can to ride, but I want to ride at home. And it's going to happen. We've already decided that. And the people from Winchester that control the National Forest, they're helping us. And he assured us practically the last time he was here that we was going to get it open, didn't he? Yeah, that's what I thought. So we've got it open, and it's looking good, and that's the good thing about being a clerk. People appreciate it. Thank you.
We got one last question, and it's going to be directed to the magistrates and the state representatives. And we'll start with Mr. Wilson. In your opinion, Mr. Wilson, what does Jackson County need to do to create jobs?
Well, actually, we're doing pretty good right now. I mean, he's got quite a few jobs in, but we need to, well, like I'm going right back to the trail towns and stuff. That's our a whole lot of jobs. A whole lot of people need to run the campsites. We just need to buckle down and which they're starting a good program on the four-wheeling trails, the horse trail and the hiking trails. And I believe we just keep doing that and let the physical court do their thing of trying to bring in good companies. I mean, give them a tax break or something. I mean, if there's any way of doing it for the county for them to come here. That'd be one of the biggest things you can do to get a good company to come here, is a good tax break.
Yeah, just continue what what we've been doing, just beating the bushes and going out and looking for jobs, and actually put a little packet together, what Jackson County has to offer for whenever Shane goes to some of these meetings and whatnot, and just get the word out that we have property and we got buildings that's available to them, and you can give them tax breaks to get them in. Just keep pounding, and roads is a big thing. If you can't, I trucked for, like I said, I trucked for several years, and if you can't, the trucking end of it, what knocks you out of a lot of these jobs, manufacturers, especially before New 30. New 30 is a big help because, people see that and they say, well, we can get trucks in and out. But the old 30 was a big deal whenever you got like 20 trucks traveling one certain road, like say 3630 over there. The odds is it's going to crash. It ain't a matter of if, it's just when. And the roads is a big deal. And these guys get 421 fixed, and they're going to do it, right? Yep. You get 421 fixed to Richmond, and this 30 deal on over through there, and I really see jobs coming. I do, and buy American, spend a couple extra dollars, and buy USA made stuff. Get some of this manufacturing back.
Mr. Hayes. In your opinion and ideas, what does Jackson County need to do to create more jobs?
One of the things we can do is use what we have here. There's things that we can offer that other counties can't offer. I know that we have advantages and disadvantages, but the trail town idea, the four-wheeler trails, that's great because we have that area here that you can come in and do that, and people will be interested in coming here. Take advantage of what we have first. Yes, but to bring businesses in here, we have to improve 421. We have to improve the infrastructure here. But Jackson County has a lot to offer that you don't get at downtown Lexington. And the four-wheelers, horseback trails. In fact, the first week of June, there's a 100-mile run. I'm not in, and I'm sure might have somebody out here in the crowd that's in. A 100-mile run starting at Red River Gorge that's coming through Jackson County. It's a 36-hour run. A lot of the volunteer firefighters and things, they're going to help as far as set up different stations. But we have over 100 people running on that 100-mile run that's coming through. 46 miles of that's in Jackson County.
Well, the first piece of legislation that I had passed as your state representative is to help with bringing jobs here, and that's with the KMRRA bringing it here. You can see in those other communities, it's exploded their economy. But we need to get Jackson County finished certified as a work site ready place. Once that's certified, then we can work with the Cabinet for Economic Development and actually recruit businesses. Now, while that certification is being done and then we work on 421 to get that straightened out, we can still recruit them on the south end of the county because of Highway 30. So we have opportunities. We just need to finish those things that we've started. And getting Jackson County listed as a work-ready community is the number one key before the Cabinet for Economic Development is ever going to help you recruit corporations to come here to Jackson County. So we need to finish that up at the county level, and then we can market ourselves to corporations across the United States, globally, everything. The tourism dollars, they'll bring tourism from all over the world. That was mentioned at the Trail Town meeting whenever I brought a piece of legislation and read to them that we got passed. So there's a lot of opportunities that can be done. We've already started working on them. That's why you need to keep me as your state representative. I know how to get it done, and I'll get it done.
When I sit down, I think there's a lot more people out there. That brings us to the end of tonight's forum. The Development Association hopes that you are better informed to make a decision on Election Day because of what you have heard here tonight. It is your obligation as a citizen to vote, and we encourage you to do so. We also invite you to be a part of the Development Association. We meet the last Wednesday in each month at the County Extension Office at 10 a.m. Again, thank you to all who have had a part in tonight's forum. Good night from the old courthouse in McKee.